He built a brand that gave hope to thousands. But in one brutal moment, everything ended inside a quiet salon suite. What pushed a successful credit coach's ex to murder? Was it jealousy, rage, or something much deeper? William Todd Austin was a successful man. He was the founder of a company called Credit Champs, which helped people fix their credit and learn how to manage their money. Todd had thousands of followers on Instagram. He showed off a positive lifestyle, driving a luxury Tesla, wearing nice clothes, and giving financial advice. Many people trusted him. They looked up to him. He said he wanted to help others win with money. To his fans, Todd was more than just a businessman. He was a mentor, a motivator, and a hero. But behind that success was a secret pain. And on July 11th, 2025, everything came crashing down. That day, Todd walked into a salon suite in Arlington, Texas. The place was quiet. It looked like just another appointment. But minutes later, the calm turned to chaos. Police say his 37-year-old ex-girlfriend, believed to be Michelle Williams, pulled out a gun and shot Todd. Then, she turned the weapon on herself. Both were found dead inside. What could lead to something so violent? Investigators believe the two had a troubled past. Todd and Michelle had dated before. Some sources say they even had a child together. But their relationship had ended. According to some online posts, Michelle may have felt jealous after Todd went on a trip to Miami. Rumors spread that he had moved on, maybe started seeing someone new. Whatever happened, something clearly pushed Michelle over the edge.
New information about a man who was getting his hair cut at a salon when he was shot and killed. Arlington police are calling it a murder-suicide. And Scoop Jefferson just spoke with people who witnessed the shooting on Cooper Street.
This is the moment Arlington police officers arrived at the front doors of the Spa Galleria strip mall on shots fired, recorded on a cell phone. Just after 10 a.m. Friday, police say a 37-year-old woman walked into the South Cooper Street location with a gun and opened fire on a man she had been dating as he got a haircut.
They were just all nervous and we were all scared.
Another vendor inside the Galleria had just finished with one of her clients.
I got multiple texts from them saying there was shooting happening, and I saw the cop cars in front of me and I heard gunshots.
The victim, identified by family and friends as 37-year-old Todd Austin, was getting his haircut by Dax the barber, a popular Arlington stylist. Dax, who didn't want to go on camera, told us she fired several shots, striking Austin in the chest area. He's been his customer for 12 years and says on his Facebook page that his clients are his extended family. As other Galleria employees arrived,
I have a barber suite inside.
They got the devastating news.
And one of the suite owners 2 doors down actually told me, hey, don't go inside, somebody just got shot.
Police say after the shooting, the woman tried to leave, saw officers outside, retreated inside, and then shot herself. She later died at the hospital. Homicide detectives took statements from witnesses as the crime scene unit collected evidence. They tagged her white Tesla before police called a wrecker service to tow it away. Police allowed Austin's family to take his Cybertruck containing his business logo that was parked outside. Dax, visibly shaken by the shooting, got comfort from his wife, as others stood by trying to make sense of the deadly salon gunfire. In Arlington, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
Todd's friends, fans, and family were shocked. Many went to social media to express their pain. How could someone so full of life be gone so suddenly? He had just posted happy videos online. He talked about building generational wealth and helping people escape debt. No one expected him to become a murder victim.
We deleted 51 items from this client's credit report. They went up 154 points on Equifax, 235 points on TransUnion, and 131 points on Experian. Let's get to it.
Todd's story is tragic, not just because of his death, but because of what it reveals. Even successful people with big followings and inspiring messages can have personal struggles. Even the happiest online life can hide pain. This wasn't just a breakup. This was a ticking time bomb, and it exploded in a way no one could imagine. Now, people are asking big questions. Was there a warning? Could someone have stopped this? What happens when personal drama mixes with fame, money, and online pressure? This is the story of William Todd Austin, a man who helped others build their future. until his own was taken away in a shocking murder-suicide that left a community in disbelief. Welcome to True Crime Diaries, the place where we uncover shocking stories, unsolved cases, and deep mysteries from the world of crime. From real events to breakthroughs in investigation, we break it all down so you can see what really happened. Before we begin, don't forget to tap the subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? Drop your thoughts as this story unfolds. Your opinion counts. These are real people, real events, and serious lessons we must not ignore. Share this video with someone you care about. It could make a difference, maybe even save a life. Let's get started. William Todd Austin seemed to have it all. A self-made businessman, he rose from humble beginnings to become the face of Credit Champs, a credit repair and financial literacy brand that gained thousands of followers across social media. He proudly wrapped his Tesla in his company's logo, dressed sharply, and posted success stories from people he had helped. To many, Todd wasn't just a financial coach. He was a symbol of progress, resilience, and second chances. He used Instagram as a platform to educate, motivate, and inspire. His followers tuned in to learn how to fix their credit, get out of debt, and build a future. They saw him as a man who had figured it out. But behind the bright filters and polished messages, something darker was brewing. Few could have imagined that just days after a trip to Miami, his life would end in a violent murder-suicide inside a quiet salon suite. On July 11th, 2025, the story of Todd Austin took a shocking turn. Inside a salon suite in Arlington, Texas, Todd was found shot dead alongside his 37-year-old ex-girlfriend. Authorities believe she pulled the trigger before turning the gun on herself. What led to such a tragic and deadly decision? How did a man who appeared to have such control over his public life lose everything in private? As news of his death spread, his followers flooded social media with grief and confusion. Many asked the same painful questions. Was there a warning sign? Had someone missed a cry for help? Did his success mask personal turmoil? This wasn't just a random act of violence. It was the end of a relationship turned deadly, the final page in a story that had inspired many but revealed little of its darkest chapters. The tragedy left a deep wound in the community Todd built. He had created a brand on the idea of redemption and fresh starts. He taught people how to rise after falling. But what happens when the teacher can't escape his own emotional collapse? What do we learn when even the most put-together lives unravel behind closed doors? This story is not just about fame, business, or social media success. It's about relationships, unspoken struggles, and the danger of ignoring emotional red flags. It forces us to ask, can online image replace real emotional support? Are we so busy watching success that we miss the pain behind it? When a breakup ends in bloodshed, where do we begin to understand? As we begin to explore the life, legacy, and untimely death of William Todd Austin, we must look deeper than the headlines. This is more than a crime scene. It's a mirror, and it's asking all of us, do we really know the people we follow? Do we even know the ones we love? William Todd Austin was born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood, Todd learned early on what it meant to struggle financially. He watched close friends and family members get denied loans, evicted from homes, or harassed by debt collectors. These early experiences left a strong impression on him and would later shape the mission behind his brand. Determined to escape the cycle of financial hardship, Todd became deeply interested in credit, budgeting, and the world of personal finance. He spent hours reading books, watching videos, and taking courses. Over time, he became fluent in credit repair strategies and financial literacy practices. These weren't just personal lessons. They became tools he used to help those around him who felt stuck or ashamed of their financial situations. Eventually, he moved to Texas, where he saw a real opportunity to turn his knowledge into a business. There, he officially launched Credit Champs, a company focused on helping everyday people understand and rebuild their credit. Todd didn't wait for traditional marketing. He took to Instagram, using short videos, testimonials, and motivational posts to connect with people directly. His advice was clear, his energy contagious, and his brand began to grow rapidly. As his audience increased, so did the demand for his services. Todd offered consultations, online courses, and even mentorship programs for people looking to change their financial path. He became known for his bold personality, luxury lifestyle, and signature branding, including his Tesla, which bore his company's name across its frame. For many, Todd's success felt like proof that transformation was possible. He continued to expand his platform, speaking at local events, networking with influencers, and collaborating with others in the credit repair industry. He built a loyal following, not just because of his results, but because of his presence. His posts often showed him celebrating client victories, giving pep talks, and encouraging people not to give up on themselves. He was praised for turning complicated financial ideas into simple, everyday language. Todd's story resonated with people who felt invisible to traditional banks or ignored by financial systems. His clients range from single parents to small business owners to young adults recovering from past mistakes. His message was simple: your past doesn't define your future. For many, he wasn't just a businessman. He was a bridge between their setbacks and their comeback. By the time he reached his early 40s, William Todd Austin had made a name for himself as a leader in the credit repair space. He transformed his struggles into a powerful brand that educated, inspired, and elevated others. His story was one of resilience and reinvention. But while his professional life was flourishing, a storm was silently forming in his personal life, one that no spreadsheet or strategy could fix. To the outside world, William Todd Austin appeared to be the perfect example of modern success. He carefully curated his social media presence, blending professionalism with personal flair. His Instagram page showcased luxury clothing, high-end vehicles, motivational speeches, and glowing client reviews. He spoke with confidence and carried himself like someone who had overcome hardship and was now living the life he once only dreamed of. His videos often showed him smiling, giving credit tips, and sharing moments from his daily routines. From high-rise buildings to shopping trips and behind-the-scenes glimpses of his work, everything appeared polished and vibrant. Followers praised his charisma and looked forward to his next post. He positioned himself not just as a businessman, but as a symbol of discipline, faith, and forward motion. Behind the scenes, however, Todd's life was more complicated. Friends and people close to him knew he carried heavy responsibilities and personal stress. Maintaining his brand, managing his growing clientele, and navigating emotional challenges all weighed on him. There were long hours, moments of frustration, and pressures that never made it to the camera lens. One part of his private life that remained mostly hidden from public view was his past relationship with Michelle Williams. They had dated for a period of time, and some sources claim they shared a child. While their connection had faded romantically, they continued to cross paths, particularly due to shared personal history. The nature of their relationship in recent months became a matter of interest only after tragedy struck. Although Todd never addressed the details of his past relationship publicly, there were subtle signs of personal tension. He made occasional references to loyalty, betrayal, or cutting off toxic people in vague social media captions. Followers often took these as motivational statements, unaware of the possible emotional weight behind them. As his business flourished, the contrast between his glowing online image and his real-life emotional landscape became more pronounced. He kept his inner world guarded, sharing only what served the brand and motivated others. Those closest to him describe him as driven and passionate, but also deeply private when it came to emotional matters. The separation between the man on screen and the man behind the scenes grew wider over time. His commitment to uplifting others sometimes left little room for tending to his own unresolved issues. In the days leading up to his death, he continued to post cheerful updates, never hinting at the storm that was about to unfold. His online persona remained intact, even as his personal world quietly unraveled. On the afternoon of July 11th, 2025, the atmosphere inside a Salon suite in Arlington, Texas, was quiet and routine. The building housed several small beauty businesses, and that day was expected to be like any other. But within minutes, the setting would become the site of a violent and irreversible act. William Todd Austin had entered the Salon suite shortly before the incident occurred. What led him there remains part of the ongoing investigation, but reports confirm that his 37-year-old ex-girlfriend, Michelle Williams, was already present. The encounter that followed was swift, intense, and fatal. In a matter of moments, multiple gunshots were heard. When first responders arrived, they found both individuals dead at the scene. Authorities determined that Michelle had shot Todd before turning the weapon on herself. The murder-suicide sent shockwaves through the community and the online world. Police cordoned off the building while detectives gathered evidence, interviewed witnesses, and reviewed surveillance footage from nearby businesses. Early findings pointed to a personal motive connected to their past relationship. Forensics teams worked carefully inside the suite while officers kept the area secure. Bystanders gathered nearby, many unaware of what had taken place, until news began to spread on local outlets and social media. Within hours, Todd's name trended across platforms as followers reacted in disbelief to the developing story. Media outlets quickly picked up the tragic news. Headlines described the event as a domestic-related shooting involving a prominent local entrepreneur. Social media pages flooded with messages of sadness, memories, and emotional tributes. Clips of Todd's last Instagram story circulated online, adding a surreal touch to the tragedy. Just days before, he had posted videos smiling and sharing motivational thoughts. Family members and close friends were left to process the reality in private. Law enforcement released few details immediately, but confirmed that the case was being treated as an isolated incident. The scene was cleared after a lengthy investigation period, and autopsies were scheduled as part of the standard procedure. As news coverage deepened, more elements of their past relationship came to light. While much remained speculative, some sources suggested that unresolved tension, recent social media activity, and emotional strain may have contributed to the deadly outcome. Regardless of the motive, the violence marked a devastating end to two lives and left lasting scars on everyone who knew them. In the days that followed the tragic event, speculation quickly filled the silence left by unanswered details. Social media became a platform for theory, grief, and raw emotion. Some followers posted vague warnings they claimed to have seen beforehand, while others shared screenshots and messages they believed could explain the emotional buildup that led to the murder-suicide. Attention soon turned to Todd's recent trip to Miami. Several photos and videos from the vacation had surfaced online just days before his death. In the images, he appeared relaxed, enjoying the sun and nightlife. While most of his followers took these posts as signs of a thriving lifestyle, those familiar with the situation believe the trip may have caused tension between him and Michelle. Rumors began to suggest that Michelle may have interpreted the Miami trip as a sign of disloyalty or emotional detachment. Though there was no confirmed evidence of infidelity, assumptions quickly spread. A few anonymous posts online claimed she had felt embarrassed or abandoned. These rumors, though unverified, only fueled more debate about what really happened in the weeks leading up to the shooting. Some sources close to the couple pointed to earlier signs of conflict. There were whispers of arguments, blocked communication, and emotional distance. A handful of former acquaintances spoke out, saying the relationship had ended badly and left behind unresolved wounds. None of these individuals had predicted violence, but they described a pattern of instability and emotional strain. Law enforcement chose not to comment on the rumors directly, sticking only to the known facts. Michelle had pulled the trigger, and the motive appeared to stem from personal matters. However, the combination of a high-profile figure, a tragic ending, and a digital trail of posts and messages created the perfect storm for continued speculation. Over time, several of Todd's old social media posts were viewed in a new light. Captions about loyalty, heartbreak, and cutting ties were revisited and dissected. Though these posts were once seen as general motivation, many now believe they hinted at deeper emotional battles he never publicly explained. Despite the flood of opinions and interpretations, no single piece of evidence provided a full explanation. The motive, while rooted in personal history, remained layered and complex. Behind the headlines and viral reactions was a tangled relationship that had slowly fractured, eventually ending in irreversible loss. News of William Todd Austin's death triggered an overwhelming wave of responses across multiple platforms. Within hours of the first reports, his name began trending nationwide. Former clients, longtime followers, and business associates filled timelines with heartfelt tributes, emotional videos, and disbelief. Many found it difficult to accept that someone they had seen as a figure of strength and success was suddenly gone. Social media feeds became flooded with clips of Todd's past posts, often accompanied by sorrowful captions and crying emojis. Some shared personal testimonies of how he had helped them raise their credit scores, escape debt, or build financial stability. These stories painted a picture of a man who had made a deep impact in the lives of everyday people trying to find their footing. Across Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, tribute videos were uploaded by influencers and content creators who had either collaborated with Todd or admired his work from afar. Local radio hosts and podcast personalities paused their regular content to reflect on his legacy. For many, the tragedy hit harder because of how connected they had felt to him through his online presence. While grief dominated most of the public conversation, a growing number of voices also began discussing the dangers of ignoring mental health struggles and emotional trauma, especially within relationships. Advocates used the moment to raise awareness about domestic conflict and the silent stress that can exist behind digital success stories. Hashtags began appearing, focused on healing, prevention, and support for families affected by violence. In Texas, candlelight vigils were held by community members who had attended his seminars or interacted with his business. Flowers, letters, and photos were placed outside the building that once served as his workspace. Some supporters traveled from neighboring cities just to pay their respects, reflecting how far his influence had reached. Business partners and clients of Credit Champs expressed concern for the future of the brand. Some called for the preservation of his content, hoping others could still benefit from his teachings. A few offered to continue his mission, determined to keep his financial literacy message alive despite the devastating circumstances surrounding his death. As days passed, public mourning slowly shifted into reflection. Conversations centered on accountability, personal growth, and the fragility of life, especially for public figures who bear the weight of inspiring others while managing their own internal struggles. Todd Austin's story remained etched in the minds of those he helped, not only for how he lived, but for how suddenly it all came to an end. William Todd Austin's journey from financial hardship to entrepreneurial success left an undeniable mark on countless individuals. Through Credit Champs, he introduced practical tools and accessible knowledge that changed the way many people approach credit repair. He took a subject often seen as complicated and turned it into something people could understand, act on, and benefit from. His influence extended far beyond business. Todd became a figure of hope for people facing rejection from lenders, eviction notices, or financial embarrassment. His message wasn't rooted in theory. It was built on personal experience and a genuine desire to help others rise. Those who worked closely with him described him as passionate, determined, and dedicated to creating real change in people's lives. Even after his passing, his impact continues to be felt. Many of his clients still follow the steps he taught, applying the same principles that once helped them regain control of their finances. His videos remain online, shared in group chats, reposted in stories, and watched by new followers discovering his work for the first time. His words, once motivational, have now taken on a deeper tone for those mourning his loss. In classrooms, workshops, and online forums, his name often comes up as a reference point for success stories. He became a model for how to build a brand with authenticity, how to teach with clarity, and how to grow a community around shared progress. His example showed that personal finance was not just about money. It was about freedom, stability, and self-worth. Some of his former clients and supporters have gone on to launch their own financial coaching platforms, often citing him as their inspiration. In this way, his mission continues through others. They carry forward the same energy, offering guidance and encouragement to people just beginning their financial recovery journeys. Todd's work sparked a ripple effect that will likely continue for years to come. Though his life ended in tragedy, his legacy remains tied to empowerment and education. He reshaped how people think about second chances and opened doors for those who once felt locked out of opportunity. His story, complex and painful as it became, still holds lessons that many find meaningful in their own paths forward. In the end, Todd Austin's life was a combination of resilience, vision, and undeniable influence. His memory lives on through every person who took his advice and turned it into a new beginning. What he built outlasts the headlines, preserving the lives he changed and the voices that continue to speak his name with respect and gratitude. The life and death of William Todd Austin leave behind a powerful and painful story, one that blends ambition, heartbreak, and the hidden cost of success. His rise through the credit repair world was not just about improving numbers on a credit report. It was about restoring dignity and creating hope for people who had been turned away too many times. His message resonated deeply, but his sudden, violent end revealed how even the most inspiring lives can spiral behind closed doors. As the days pass, people continue to replay his old videos, remembering the lessons, the encouragement, and the drive that once uplifted them. But they also wonder what pain he may have carried alone, what conversations were never had, what emotions were buried too deep for the public to see. And how did a relationship once filled with love turn into a moment of irreversible tragedy? This case serves as a mirror reflecting how fragile emotional boundaries can be, even among adults who appear to have it all together. Do we truly recognize the signs when someone close to us is breaking inside? When a partner begins to shift emotionally, how often do we ignore the silence because we're too busy clapping for their success? What responsibility do we carry when someone's private pain erupts in a public, fatal way? The truth is, Todd's life was more than a brand, and his death was more than a headline. He was a father, a mentor, a business owner, and a man who worked to better the lives of others. But behind that title, he was also human, flawed, vulnerable, and navigating emotional terrain that no amount of money or influence could fix. Michelle Williams's actions left devastation behind, but they also raise hard questions about unresolved trauma, unmanaged emotions, and the consequences of unchecked jealousy. How many relationships today are quietly building toward disaster without intervention? And in a world filled with digital connection, are we more disconnected from each other than ever before? In remembering Todd, the community must also acknowledge the parts of the story that are uncomfortable. Healing requires honesty. Growth demands reflection. Can we talk about mental health, emotional abuse, and toxic relationships without assigning all blame or simplifying the narrative? Can this story be more than a tragedy? Can it also become a warning? As the credits roll on the life of William Todd Austin, what remains is not just the pain of his ending, but the lessons left behind. Will we use them? Will we listen more closely to the people we love? Will we learn to see beyond the surface, even when everything looks picture perfect? That's a wrap on today's case. But the story doesn't stop here. There are countless voices still unheard, stories still in the shadows, and truths still waiting to be uncovered. Here at True Crime Diaries, we're dedicated to digging deep, exposing the facts, honoring the victims, and keeping their memories alive. If today's case opened your eyes, just know more powerful stories are coming. Stories that will make you pause, reflect, and ask tough questions. Hit subscribe, like this video, turn on notifications so you're always first to know when a new case drops. We post regularly, and what's coming next is something you won't want to miss. Now it's your turn. What stood out to you in today's case? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and your voice helps keep these stories alive. Until we meet again, stay informed, stay alert, stay safe, because justice begins with truth. Every voice matters. Every story deserves to be told.